Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So this video here is part 1 of a 3-part series on the paintwork on this VOLVO XC60. So the first video here will just be doing all the prep work. Second video will be doing the masking, and the last video will get into the paintwork. So yeah, obviously starting off by assessing the damage, giving the panels a good clean down, and also masking all the surrounding panels. So obviously you might have noticed that I masked the door openings too, because for a certain amount of the work on this vehicle I'll be needing to do some prep work with the doors open. Otherwise I'd probably just shut the door and then do the prep work and save myself a little bit of time in masking up the door openings. But obviously we've got these repairs here on that quarter panel, and on the front edge of that rear door we've got a big primer patch, so we're going to be wanting to open the front door while we're blocking that rear door down. So yeah, obviously this is a brand new car, well, within the last year at the very least. Obviously being a new car, you want to do the best job that you can. I mean, it's not like you don't try to do the best job on every single car, but I don't know, I do enjoy working on brand new cars. To me, it just feels like I can take a little bit more pride in the brand new cars. Everyone's different. I know some people love working on the oldies, but I've just had enough of the old cars, and they just get too time consuming. They've got so many old repairs in them. What starts off as a small job ends sometimes as a much bigger one. That is actually why my boss here, where I'm working at this current point in time, like, he does do quite a few of the old cars. Like, he loves old cars himself, and he's part of the vintage or classic car scene here in Perth. So he's got a few connections, you know, and some of the people with their old cars do bring them in here because they're pretty happy with the work that he does, and he obviously looks after them with the price as well. So that obviously helps. But what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the time with those older cars, my boss will just like do as little as possible. So like, do spot repairs, avoid taking door handles out, because you can just make an absolute can of worms. And a lot of the time, like, we don't do restorations here at this shop. So if you're doing a restoration, that's totally different ball game. You know, we do more spot repairs and fix some small damage to just get them back on the road and make their car look presentable again. Really, it's mainly cosmetic stuff, because what can end up happening, you can think, oh yeah, we'll just take this belt mold off, or this door handle out. Next thing you know, like 2 inches of bog falls out, and you've gone and made yourself like a massive job out of what was meant to be like a 2-bob dent, you know. So yeah, I've had it happen before. Like, I was working on this old Mustang, man, and I swear it was just a little job, and I just started working on it, and bang, like half the door started falling apart, and it was made out of bog, and it just got into an absolute nightmare of a job, like much bigger than what was ever quoted for. And yeah, as I say, that's sometimes I actually don't like doing that kind of work, and I would much prefer work on a brand new car like this. I know I'm not going to find any old repairs, because we're the first ones to even repair the car, full stop. Oh, that's right, it just came back to me. So with this old Mustang, it was like a Mark 1 Mustang or something like that, and I did all these door jams, like rust repairs, you know, to get him back on the road. And I think maybe he wanted to like pass a pit inspection or something like that to get it re-registered or something. I can't remember the exact details, but I do remember spending all this time, like days and days, on this old car, and then we shut the doors and the body flexed, and just all this work I'd done, it just broken back apart because it really needed fabrication. Like, what really needed to be done was replacing the entire door jamb opening, because there was basically nothing left. It was just all rotted out. It was just all rusted out, and we tried putting a band-aid over the top, because that's probably what the customer was telling my boss to do, because he, you know, budget and whatever, it can get quite expensive to do old cars properly, and a lot of the time worth more than the vehicle itself. A lot of the time people just fix these old cars because they've got the sentimental value to it, and here we are just stuck doing the jobs again and again and again until it's perfect, up to some absolutely picky customers' levels of perfection. It's like they weren't even perfect when they came in, you know. That's when I was in business, I had enough of it. I swear, I had enough of working on old cars. It started wearing me down, and I didn't really start like enjoying the trade as much. Like, I like getting in there. I can't remember exactly. I did this job about 3 months ago, but for instance, a job like this, I would say, would usually take me half a day to a day. So this is just down the side of a car, and we did have like a rear bumper from memory. Yes, we had a rear bumper, and we had all the door moldings and handles and stuff like that. So yeah, like half a day to a day. Whereas, you know, you're talking about that door jam, just for instance, on that Mark 1 Mustang, and you can be stuck on those jobs for days. And the customer at the end of it, they don't get it, they don't care, they just look at it and are like, oh yeah, that looks alright. At the end of the day, you just put a band-aid over it anyway, because that's all their budget require or could allow you to do. And then when it comes back in 6 to 12 months, they go and start slandering you and talking crap about you online. I had that happen. Like, I did this old bay window combi van, that's right, and we got screwed over by that customer. Like, he put in all these extras that were never quoted for at the start. Like, we put in lots and lots of hours on that. If you figured out our hourly rate, it would be less than like probably going down and working at McDonald's, right? Getting a job down there. So, you know, you're busting a gut on somebody's car. You're trying to do the best that you can with what you've got. And then, you know, you make that car look really nice for a reasonable price, and then they've still got the audacity to go and talk crap about you online 6 months later when the rust comes back. And it's like, man, we gave you two options. You know, we gave you a price to do it properly, and the price to do it properly was go somewhere else, get the bodywork done, because we're not panel beaters, man. Like, you go and get your new panels welded onto the car, because that car is totally trashed, man. Like, the rust is just eating most of the body away. It was a quick repair, like make it look good for 10 grand, and then you're gonna go and turn around and talk shit about us online. Come on, man. They'll try and screw you down on the dollars when they're walking in the door, but then when they're walking out the door, they won't even finish paying you, and that guy didn't. And that's a big part of the reason I'm just happier going to work, doing my 8 hours or whatever it be, doing my work and going home. No stress, no worrying about customers paying or any of that crap, no worrying about working for $20 an hour because they're tight asses and they don't want to pay anymore. I think I've gone and gotten way off topic and started rambling for probably a little bit too long. That's what happens when you have 3 double shot cappuccinos in the morning before you start editing your videos. So let's do a bit of a rehash on what I have been doing. So obviously I did the masking. I did make a quick mention to that at the start. So mask all the surrounding panels to avoid overspray and also dust and hitting it with your sandpaper. So you don't want to go and hit the bonnet when you're sanding the fender or something like that, or the hood as you guys would call it in America. So you don't want to go and hit the surrounding panels with the sandpaper, and you also don't want to get too much dust, especially on the inside of the car. But also, if you can avoid getting some on the exterior of the car, why not? That's one thing that I never used to do. I used to just rip all the plastic off before I started prep work, and I started it probably in the last year at least, and it's one of those things that, like, now I do it. I asked myself, why didn't I always do that? Like, why didn't I always leave the cars with a piece of plastic over it while I was doing my prep work? But apart from that, once the masking is all done and the panels were all cleaned down, I then gave the repairs a good block down. So everywhere that the primer was, there was obviously repairs underneath that. So I knew that the repairs on this weren't perfect. I actually primed this one up myself the night before, and I did put an extra couple of coats of primer on it because I knew I was going to need an extra little bit of material there to block into. It's one of those things, horses for courses. Like, if I did the repairs myself and I knew that they were perfect, I might have only put 2 coats on there and even hand sanded it. But as it turned out, I put 6 on there, 6 really heavy coats of primer, and I blocked the living hell out of it with 180 grit. And then checked it. You might have even noticed before that I was doing a bit of wet checking. So that's the wax and grease remover or Prep Sol. Spray that over the repaired area and get your eye in on the wet edge, and yeah, make sure that there is no ripples in it. And as it turns out, this one actually came out really good. Even the panel guy who repaired it, he goes, man, this one came out pretty good, didn't it? And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, hang around until part 3. I've obviously got to do the narration on that yet, but they'll be coming in weeks to come. Hopefully we'll get those videos up soon for you. So once I blocked it down with 180 grit, I then used some 400 grit on the Orbital sander to go over and remove the deep 180 grit scratches. You could use maybe 320 or something like that. But yeah, the 320 is pretty coarse, and it can cut through to that bare metal or even the body filler quite quickly. So sometimes these days I've actually been using 180 then 400 grit on the primer repairs, and then what you see me using here now is actually 600 grit. Now if this was like a Japanese vehicle with the more thinner orange peel or the thinner paint finish on it, I'd probably be using 600 grit on the blend panels, but because it's a European vehicle they put a hell of a lot more material on, and they do put it on a lot thicker. So I've found that if I'm to use a piece of 800 grit on my blend panels, or even on these areas like the OEM sections where the OEM clear coat is, it just takes a lot longer to cut into it with the 800 grit. So yeah, that's why I just use the 600 grit. Now if this is a silver, I'd probably go over it with the 800 grit over the top of the 600, but with all your darker colors you'll actually be able to clear over a fine scratch. Like let's just say you got your base coat down and you can see like a very fine scratch in the base coat. You can actually clear it up and it will fill up with your clear coat, as long as you've got a nice thick clear coat that's going to fill it up. If you're using like an MS clear, you probably don't want to go too far with it. But yeah, you can fill up some deep scratches. So I'm going to put some tunes on for the rest of this video. I hope you guys do all enjoy it. If you don't, that's cool. I've got lots of other videos, prep work videos, where I do talk the entire video. You don't have to keep watching, that's fine if you don't, but yeah, hopefully you do enjoy the music. I know that music's one of those things that not everyone's gonna like the same kind of music, so I sort of go for the middle ground, and also something that's YouTube friendly, that's not gonna give me a copyright strike on the channel too. So yeah, I'm gonna put some text layers up on screen to show you what I'm doing, and I'll see you in the masking video.
Turn around, I feel the breeze over me. You watch your dreams unfold. Let it come around and let it breathe over me. It's time to go away into the light. I feel the calming energy. I see the darkness coming, and I'm calling you to help me set me free. I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you. I'm calling for you. Lie all the faith of the world in your plans, guarding your faith with the palm of your hands. I know, yeah, I know, it's the unknown, the unknown. It's time to go away into the light. I feel the calming energy. I see the darkness coming, and I'm calling you to help me Until we build up resistance. A reaction to your miscalculation. Waiting to watch the world burn. Hiding the truth with all your lies. Retribution against the system. Whoa. Taking a stand, this wasn't enough. We the people expect a time to change the world for us. Living in a fantasy, taking everything away from me. Losing faith was a reaction to your miscalculation. Waiting to watch the world burn. Waiting to watch the world burn. Until we build up resistance. A reaction to your miscalculation.
I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested. All that aside, I'd just like to say a big thanks for watching, and that is enough to support the channel. But as I say, if you'd like to go the next step, then be sure to check out some of that merchandise. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.